Hello again, everyone. This is Joe Henches with Beyond the Chart, and this is technical analysis of the stock market today. Today is Monday, August 18th, 2014. We're going to take a look at the stock market action today, look at the indices, our indicators, and then we're going to have a quick update on one of the trade ideas and two new ones that I had on the watch list. Okay, so the Dow was up big today, up 175 points. And, as I mentioned on the weekend when we looked at the DAX, and the DAX had closed really negative on Friday. Well, the DAX had closed before the news on Ukraine and everything had kind of eased up later in the day, and the Dow was rebounding. And then we got, of course, the news over the weekend about Ukraine saying, well, they've accepted the humanitarian convoy from Russia, and that it was humanitarian relief, et cetera, et cetera. And the markets, that's about all they needed this morning to take off. And I'm sure there were a few other things, but so 175 points on the Dow. We pull right back to the 55-day moving average here, and we're just slightly above this trend line on a pullback. Now, this Dow here, this move here is 62% of this move. So it's just almost right on the 6.618 retracement of this move. Now, whether that's just a counter trend bounce, it's really, really hard to tell. We're just going to have to keep watching here. I mean, and see what it starts to do. Right now, you can't argue with the fact that it's pushing pretty hard. And, again, like I like to look for, when we start to get a couple of closes above the 10 exponential moving average, a lot of times that's a good sign that the market is trying to make that move back up, and yet you've got a little bit of a move coming. And I talked about that before in other videos, just like the way it happened back here in the beginning of February. Now, whether we're going to have this coming or not, I mean, who knows? Let's take a look at the SPX. Now, the S&P 500 has bounced back dramatically, a lot more than that, and it's well above. I think I looked at that once before. It's well above 61.8%. So the real question now is, where's this thing going? We're back above the 55. We got the moving averages starting to turn back up. Let's take a look at this. Now it's broken this trend line here. Of course, that was something it did back down in here, kind of a sign that that it was trying to turn. I love the way it does that on the RSI. That's the RSI is not only good for divergence type signals like this and like this. It's great for trend line type moves and giving you a little bit of a heads up. And it's not always going to be there, but when it is, a lot of times it's really, really good. Okay, and of course DI plus just crossed above DI minus. All right, the Nasdaq. The Nasdaq is sitting now at the highest point since March 31st, 2000. So this continues to push higher. I put these two things out on Saturday, these two levels. This is my first threshold. We're not that far from it. We're only 27 points away. And then this is my second one. And if this breaks one, I've got a third one. But right now, these are my two high probability tops. If I had to lean based on the momentum that we're seeing, I might lean up into this one here. But we'll have to just kind of continue to watch it. Again, the DI plus has gotten above DI minus. Demand index is positive. The RSI is moving up very nicely. You got this trend line break in here in the RSI. So it's, right now the NASDAQ looks like it's definitely trying to make this fifth move. New York Composite. New York Composite's pulling back just like the Dow. Now, did the Dow, yeah, it's close. The Dow didn't have this horizontal top in here. It was this ending diagonal type of thing. But this is pulled right back up to it. Now, again, can it break through what should be now resistance in here? We may run into that. And again, like I mentioned on Saturday, if this turns around and closes down below the blue again, we're going to probably get a pretty good little downdraft. The Russell 2000. Russell 2000 is starting to make a little bit of a move. Now let's blow this up some. Okay, and key thing I noticed I didn't put in here before is looks like we're getting some divergence in here. Yeah, at that bottom. Okay, so if I make that green, because that would be a green sign, you get divergence. But this price went to a lower low, and the indicator did not. It's come back up. It's crossed above the 50, the midline here, so it's tracking nicely. You got closes above the 50, the 10-day exponential. The 10 is crossing above the 21. You still get the 21 below the 55 though here, so that's a little bit out of sync. We're just going to have to continue to monitor this situation. I'm trying to see if I see anything else. We may be running into some resistance here. Notice how it stopped back up in here. The pullback high was here, pullback high was here. We could be running into some of that. Let me see if I'm seeing anything obvious, like say on the S&P 500. Now, none other than, this kind of congestion could create some overhead supply. This is going to have to power through this, because this is a pretty strong downdraft, and people that, you get back up into here and people are going to want to go, okay, let me try to get back out for even or whatever. Okay, so that's a look at the 1 day on the Nasdaq. Here's the Russell 2000 again. Let me back that out. I was just looking at something here. We still get this potential double top. We actually could be moving into some kind of head and shoulders. I mean, if we get some symmetry, you notice how here this didn't come all the way down to this support line here, and this didn't either. And then we get this rally, just like you got this rally. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. I mean, we're just going to have to continue to watch. Short-term trading index pulling back down a little bit on the 10-day exponential, but we're right in the middle. CBO, the VIX pulled down as you would expect, although not nearly to the degree I would have thought, given a 175-point move, but it did pull back down. And the high-low index, it's the other one I wanted to mention, that has made a nice move back up here. 161 more new highs than new lows today. Coming off of this kind of the way it did here on the move at the beginning of February. Notice this kind of move coming up like this. So very similar. So we might have some legs going on here. I was going to look at this high yield bond fund, which is kind of interesting. You notice the divergence on the high yield bond fund. Now, the high yield bond fund is a junk bond fund. Okay, so that's your high risk bonds. People are pursuing yield. So when this is rallying and it's like risk on. Okay, so and when this is collapsing, it's a sign kind of with the market that people are bailing out of the high risk stuff. Well, guess what? The market's come back and the high yield bond fund has bounced back dramatically. But it was really had this major divergence occurring between these 2 points here. As you can see on the RSI. The interesting thing about the high yield fund, it does look like there's been some breakdown here in the trend since 2009. You see this trend line broke here, pulled back down. You get another trend line, it broke in the June sell-off, the May-June sell-off of last year. That's when it broke. Okay, now it's bounced back, has not bounced back very strongly, has not bounced back to new highs, and now it's broken this trend line here of this move, okay, which is a weak sign, and this activity in here is very similar to this kind of flattening down, weak bounce, down, weak bounce, rollover kind of thing that we're getting in here. So this really does bear watching to see. You can see how it broke down. And this thing broke down, at the beginning of July. and really kind of predicated, it did it several weeks before the market then did. Okay, so it's a little bit of a leading indicator, I think, and I'm going to start watching it on a regular basis every week. So wanted to look at that. So we'll always start pulling that one in, and I'm trying to think. I think that was it on the indicators. I want to just update Seagate Technology. I got into the second half of the calls today in here. So we got in half here, and so we're long. We're breaking this trend line. I think we've had minor wave 1, minor wave 2. I do think we're in an intermediate fifth wave, but it looks like we want to go, and hopefully we'll, had this nice break of the trend line here on the RSI. So hopefully that will continue. And then the two that we were monitoring, we were watching, Dang and Kandi. Okay, so Dang got this close back above the 10 again, and it did not break below this point. So right now, okay, sorry about that. Voice is getting kind of went on me there. All right, so right now it looks like this is wanting to continue to move again to the upside. Now we'll see. We could get a little bit of a fake out in here, but that's why my entry point is going to be a little bit higher up here. I'll put something on the trade ideas page, and we'll see if we don't get in and see if it'll run. I mean, this move. Wave 1 and wave 3 were almost equal, and a lot of times this was not nearly as long as I would have expected. So now I'm expecting this wave 5 to extend, and so we'll see if we can't get that. And then the other one is Kandi Technologies, which we were in a little over a week ago. Got in back in here, got out in here. Now it looks like it wants to go again. I mean, it broke this trend line today on the RSI. Got back up, got this nice close above the 10 again after being down for 4 days below it, closed back above it. I like the way this is set up with this pivot point. So this almost looks like a small cup and handle kind of thing. Now, the other thing is this could be a large cup and handle, the classic. And I don't know. I mean, these kind of big, that far apart don't give me a high degree of comfort. I kind of like this picture a little bit more. And so to me, I'm thinking that you're going to get some kind of move like this. What is this? 21.75 down to 16.25. What was that? 5.5 points. You break here. I mean, we could be running up to, 25 plus. On this thing. We'll see. Okay, so that's it. So I'll have the details on the trade ideas for Kandi Technologies for tomorrow morning too, and that'll be it for tonight. Okay, this has been Joe for Beyond the Chart. If you felt like the video was helpful and you liked it, share it on social media. I would really appreciate it. And if you are not a subscriber, please subscribe. Just click the little red box here on the screen and download the PDF I've got for you. Just fill out your first name and email, and you'll get email updates of when the posts are active, and access to the Trade Ideas webpage, and all of that good stuff. So, and there's a lot of activity we got going on the website. So come on over. If you're viewing this anywhere else but the website, head on over to joehenches.net. Or you can get there by www.beyondthechart.com also, but this is the easiest one, joehenches.net. All right, we'll be back Wednesday with another. Actually, I'm going to have an update on 4 other stocks tomorrow. I don't have those right in front of me, but I'll have an update video that I will put out. And then we'll be back with another look at the market and check on trade ideas Wednesday night. All right, everyone, have a great Tuesday, Wednesday.